Hello, and thank you for watching A Voice for All. I am your host, Emile Gamble, and if it's your first time joining me, hey, how you doing? If you didn't know, Voice for All is the only show on Rogers TV that proudly promotes disability awareness in and around the Peel region, so hooray for us. And this is Season 5. If you want to find me on Twitter, at MissJamPCCS, you want to find me on Facebook, facebook.com/MissJamGamble. So my guest right here, I'm not going to say what level. Got it? You saw what I did there? I got Daniel. Apparently, I'm not wearing a really gym-appropriate outfit. I don't really look like I'm ready to train, but that's besides the point. Welcome, Daniel, from Level Up Fitness.
Thank you for having me.
How are you and your long legs doing?
Better now that I've moved the table.
Yeah. Accessibility. I love what you're doing because when we first started talking, I've not heard of a program like yours. What made you create it in the first place?
Well, so my background is as a behavior therapist for about 5 or 6 years. And at the same time, I was a personal trainer and a strength coach. And one of the things that always bothered me was it was tough to find sort of like healthy physical activities for all the people we supported. And meanwhile, I'm training all these people on the side, and I just figured, let's try to put them together.
1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah, so that was, I guess, the origin.
And how long have you guys been running?
So this is now only about 6 months since I opened up the studio.
And what's the response been from families?
It's been great. I get calls several times a week, and people say, "Oh, I've been looking for something like this for so long. Like, how come I didn't know about you?" And
yeah,
it's because we just started. So
in terms of fitness, because I'm sure there's people who, you know, when they hear disabilities or autism and fitness, they don't imagine that you're really doing actual training. So why don't you break it down for us, what you're doing with your clients?
So it depends. There's a lot of different goals that our clients come in with. Some come in with, and it's, you know, it's pretty typical, and they might want to lose some weight, but that's only like a fraction of our clients. Some they need sort of like an outlet for some physical energy.
True.
Because they're just kind of sitting around, maybe in a group home, not getting a ton of activity. Some is for health reasons. And some just come and they just want to get stronger, you know? So it depends on the goals. Some of our clients, we just do a lot of heavy lifting. Some of our clients, it's more of a focus on movement. We just get them running around, pushing things, throwing things, just like a sweaty, messy workout.
So for parents who might be watching, what type of equipment do you have, and how do you use equipment with somebody? Because you said you're a behavior therapist. So how do you use equipment with someone who may have autism and may be aggressive? Because I'm envisioning somebody who's strong and angry and kettlebells.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways we do it. So it depends too on the person, on how the person's functioning and on their goal. So,
right.
But one of the things we can do is we use special kinds of equipment. So, you know, if we're concerned that there might be some safety issues, we use modified equipment. So instead of like a kettlebell or a dumbbell that's hard and might, if they dropped it or did something improperly because they're learning, could hurt them, we use things like sandbags and sandbells and medicine balls, things that are sort of soft, but still can provide enough resistance to get a good workout. And then we, instead of using like technical, difficult exercises, we focus on things that can get people moving the day they come into the studio. You know, like pushing a sled across the turf. Anybody can do it. There's almost no wrong way to do it.
I can't.
Well, not in that outfit, but
in general, I cannot push something.
Really?
I can't.
Okay.
We talked about this. I cannot do that.
I don't know. I think give me 10 minutes with you and we could get you.
No,
pushing
10 minutes and you're going to send me out the door because you're going to be really frustrated.
I feel like this is like a bet. We should.
I'm ready to put money on this. I have been to the facility, and again, I found it super cool that there was modified equipment. And I'm not talking like, you know, like little sponges or things that you think you're working out, but you're not. Like there's actual equipment. And I love that some of the stuff was like you said, was made out of sand for anyone who gets really ticked off and might want to chuck something at Daniel. Like I might, if you train me and I get angry.
Well, now I won't because.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's how I won the bet.
Okay, you
That's how I win it. But
Yeah.
again, like I've been there. I loved how you had everything really nicely laid out. There's a vibe to it that's really inviting,
Yeah, there's a lot of
right?
open space. So I designed it, with that in mind. Like for anyone, the thought of going to just a normal gym can be overwhelming.
For sure.
There's equipment everywhere. There's all these strange things. There's all these strange people.
Yep.
And it's not the most welcoming environment. And for a person, who might have a developmental disability and communication and social functioning, we know could be an impairment for them. Going into that environment could be just so overwhelming.
For sure.
Right, so you come in, it's pretty clear, it's a lot of open space, it's very clear. We have a nice, we focus on real simple ways to get people moving, like right out of the box, like there's no ambiguity about it. It's like
And skills that could be transferred home,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, so some of the people come to us, so we have some teens, on the spectrum, and they're going to college the next year and they want to learn how to exercise. How can they use the weight room at their college? So they come and we teach them up. And if it means we have to start with something like using sandbags and medicine balls to teach them proper form and then moving on to more traditional equipment like barbells and dumbbells, that's what we'll do. And then we send them off and they're ready. So.
Again, the accessibility, the attitude that comes with it is something I really appreciate. Aside from people coming to your center, you actually leave and travel.
I do. Yeah, I mean.
Which is wicked.
Yeah.
That's like wicked accessibility.
I don't do a ton of it, but I do make some exceptions if there is a good space to train people in, because I want people to be able to learn the skills and transfer it ultimately into a more traditional gym. Like there's no reason why all the clients I have can't progress and go on and train in like a gym that you or I would go to.
But why do you think that there's some parents or even support staff who are skeptical about bringing, their clients or their children into a gym setting or a rec setting?
Well, I think it's just, they're just afraid of what might go wrong. And again, the environment isn't set up and again, it can be overwhelming. So, and again, I think that people think about fitness and exercise like, oh, we can't get him to exercise. Like it's some chore that you have to do. And what we try to do is. It is a chore. No, it's fun. Yes. Like we try to make it fun, right? So someone comes in and our goal is like, how can we find something this person likes? Like what's motivating for them, like earlier today, I was training a young woman with Down syndrome, and her goal is to lose some weight and she has lost some weight, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But she it's kind of tough to motivate her sometimes. But what she really likes to do is it's a pretty big space in the studio. So sometimes we play baseball. Like I have a little baseball bat and a softball, and she's just like, "Can we play?" And I'm like, that's sort of like the motivation, right? So she struggles through the workout, and she's like, oh, "Okay, fine. Can we play baseball now?"
Yeah.
And then we play baseball, and even that is like an activity. Like she's moving, we're running around and stuff, and so it's just finding what is motivating for the person. And for a lot of people, it's just the activity itself. Like a lot of my clients just love that they can lift twice as much as they could when they started, and so we don't need any external reinforcement.
I know for me personally, I have a gym membership that I don't really use, but again, motivation is a big it's a big factor. So for parents who might be watching, how can they get their child motivated to say join a program like yours?
Well, again, it could be as simple as finding a physical activity that their children like.
Yeah.
And people have a really narrow scope of what they think exercise is. Like it's lifting weights or it's running on a treadmill. And those things can be pretty boring, right? There's so many different ways to move your body.
Yeah.
And this is what we try to do. So when I first meet clients, even if they can't tell me, if they can't articulate what they like doing, we put them through a little battery. We try a whole bunch of different activities and we see, and almost all the time we find a few things we're like, yeah, you love this. And we can tell, this is something you like. And then we build off that and we can shape and introduce new exercises. And if we can't, it's not too different than the way you would teach other skills to someone. You look for some external reinforcing contingency, and that's just the way you would set it up.
I was
right?
just going to ask you, like, do you
Yeah.
incorporate techniques like ABA
Yeah,
into
so
your stuff?
we don't have a ton of clients that we use things like token boards with, but we do have a few. But usually we can find something that they really like.
Again,
So,
motivation
yeah.
is key, and motivation is the biggest factor to getting people into the gym. I need more motivation, obviously. It's coming. I will find it one day. But when I came across Level Up Fitness, I was honestly mind blown because one, Daniel has a background in behavior therapy, and that to me is the number one thing you want in a trainer when they're supporting someone who has a developmental disability or autism or anything like that. You want somebody who knows what they're doing. I've been to the facility. Chill vibe, good space, not a lot of distractions, and I think anyone who was to walk in there, they won't feel intimidated, and that's another thing, right? Motivation and intimidation, and you don't get that energy at all. So if you are a parent who wants to get your child fit and you don't know where to go or who the right person is, this long guy over there is the person to go to. All his information, Level Up Fitness, you can find them on Twitter and Facebook. And if you are a community group who are looking for a day out, you want to get fit and moving, again, long guy over here, Level Up Fitness, great background, great level of experience, and definitely a program that I think will benefit a lot of people. So we're not done here in A Voice for All. I will catch you guys right after the commercial break.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back to The Voice for All. I'm your host, Emile Gamble. If you want to find me, you know where to go. Twitter at MissJamPCCS and Facebook.com/MissJamGamble. And thanks to Twitter, this is how I found my last guest. So shout out to TVO for bringing this to my attention. Those of you who know me, I teach during the day. Special education is my love and my passion. But one of my biggest pet peeves working in the field is I feel that there's not enough resources for us educators to turn to talk to people, and to learn new information in the field. And thank goodness I have Emile here, who is a special education teacher for grades 6, 7, and 8.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Whoa. How are you awake right now?
Yeah, it's a long day, but every day is a long day, I suppose, right?
Definitely. And how long have you been teaching?
So I've been a teacher for the past 11 years. 7 of those have been special education for grades 6, 7, and 8. Prior to that, I was a grade 6 teacher.
Now, what brought you into special education, just out of curiosity?
Well, to be honest with you, I was approached by an administrator at the time who thought that I had a knack for dealing with some of the students that required extra attention, extra patience, diversification in the learning methods, the teaching methods. And so the opportunity was there, and I took it and completed my specialist courses. And
Wicked. So you must
was
obviously have a skill if someone came to you and said, hey, we think you'd be a great asset.
well, I suppose so. I don't know exactly
Humble
what that
man.
means, but
Humble man.
I just teach, right?
So let's talk about why you're here today.
Yeah.
Teach Ontario, new initiative that's being launched by TVO. And again, I'm uber excited that there's a focus on special education. Tell me what your involvement is in all of it.
Okay, so right now, thanks to Teach Ontario, again, like you've mentioned, that TVO has set up, there is a website that's called, again, it's called Teach Ontario. It's set up for educators to share all their excellent ideas and to collaborate with each other in an online, platform.
Cool.
So basically, if I can just
Go ahead.
I can give you
Sure.
a little demonstration. What TVO has set up here is an educator collaboration platform with 3 main sections. So what we have is the Explore section, the Share section, and the Create section. So if you were to check out the Explore section, you'll be taken to an area that has, if the connection will go for me. There we go. in the Explore section, you have all these curated resources. A couple of the ones that I'd like to focus on are the professional learning videos, as well as the teacher blogs. Now, these are two areas. I've been privileged enough to be invited to contribute to a webinar on the effective use of TeachOntario,
Okay.
which I did a couple of months ago now. And I'm a regular contributor in the teacher blog section.
Nice.
So this is an area where, and I'm a big proponent for blogging, I'm a big fan, because what I feel happens is, and TeachOntario provides a platform for this, teachers learn from each other
Absolutely.
best. Better than your PD, which is great, and I love
good.
good PD.
Yep.
I like to lead PD as well when I can. But teachers learn from each other
Yeah.
and from the experiences of their colleagues and their peers. And what TeachOntario does is it allows all the educators in Ontario, as long as you're signed up, to learn from each other.
Oh my
so
goodness.
it's creating this wonderful sharing between professionals. And this is where the genuine learning comes from. And you know this as an educator,
Yeah.
you're totally aware of this, right? So the Explore section, there's curated resources. You go to the Share section, and this is where in the Share section, you can create your own specific sharing space. For example, at our school, Holy Cross in Dufferin Peel, I have applied for a teacher learning and leadership grant. So what that is ambitious educators, let's call them,
Yep.
put together a project that will require some government funding, and they have to explain the benefits of the project, as well as outline and rationalize a budget for,
Cool.
you know, and how you're going to spend it and how much you need, basically.
For sure.
If you're approved, you implement this project, and you document your success and your learning, etc.
How long does it run for?
For us, so we've had it since September. The application process occurred the previous May.
Okay.
Right, so you're setting up, you're applying prior to that, so your application is in, I believe is even before Christmas time.
Okay.
You're trained for it in May, so the ministry takes you to do these training sessions.
Wow.
And then you implement your project through the school year that follows your training.
Now, as a Voice for All focuses on disability awareness, for those of us who are involved in special education, what on here specifically on TeachOntario kind of speaks to us?
Well, this is the thing, right? For example, if your specific interest is special education, you can find a group of like-minded educators who are
Great.
sharing their resources, sharing examples of successes, examples of, like, for example, you can find educators that are talking about apps that are working and maybe not,
Yep.
right? Successes and learnings, failures that are learnings. You can also, if you're not finding the kind of content that you really want, go create it. You can go create a share space and start a discussion and a collaboration with educators throughout the province on your specific topic. For example, if you wanted to create a share space that was just on apps that support special education,
Right.
or support different students with different exceptionalities, you could go ahead and do that. And it's like you're crowdsourcing all this information
That's
from
amazing.
your peers across the province.
Yeah, because again, you know, with PD, we're usually limited to those who are in our school, or if we do go to a conference, you know, we have to take time off work and get a supply and all these things. But there's so many educators that I think people don't understand. Our job does not just take place during the day. We are constantly learning after school hours. And to see that there's a forum like this, I'm so in love with this right now.
And the group that I actually set up, because what I did when I set up our school, TLLP, my focus was a little more broad than just special education, because my goal was to get, let me take a step back. We had pretty much a smartboard in every classroom.
Yep.
We had tablets, roaming carts of tablets and
Yep.
laptops available to students. But what we didn't have was educators who felt very effective with it. We had some
True.
educators who felt, yeah, I can use that. But we didn't have educators who felt that they were great at using these learning tools.
Because kids today know more about apps and tablets and stuff more than we do.
In a lot of cases,
Yeah.
yes, right? And so I wanted to get, and that's a very common train of thought, well, the kids know more than I do. I
Yeah.
wanted to flip that on its head. What can we do to maybe not only keep up, but be able to actually legitimately use these tools in an effective way? So the project that I set up with some help from several of my colleagues was basically, for example, you're part of my project team. Let's say you're teaching grade 3, and you are aware that your students need support in perhaps writing, the act of putting a thought onto paper. Your exploration within digital tools would be to ameliorate that issue, to augment the learning. So you're looking for apps
Yeah.
for your learners. And in that way, I took the teachers in the school and allowed them to find specific focuses for their own classroom.
And you could talk all about this on Teach Ontario.
And then exactly. So then, again, you're on the team with me, and monthly, if possible, hopefully, you're going on there, and perhaps you're writing a blog, perhaps you're showing pictures, documentations, and just giving your personal experience. We tried Explain Everything in our classroom, which is an app, which is an excellent app. We tried Explain Everything in our classroom. We used it for running records. We used it for student reading assessments. Student engagement went up. Student score, and a little bit of anecdotal, but really and truly, it's
But we need that
teacher-led,
kind of
right?
information.
So, and that was the focus of the project. It wasn't in the same way, like you're describing the professional development, where you're going to a workshop, and it's great. Don't get me wrong, but again, this was teacher-led, and Teach Ontario provided. Oh, here it is. Teach Ontario provided the opportunity to build this learning space. So this is the learning space that I created for my team.
That's great.
So here, people are contributing blogs, people are contributing videos.
I was just going to say about videos. Like, I know webinars is a good tool, and blogging is another thing that a lot of teachers do. For me personally, I'm more of a vlogger. Like, I love documenting the day in the classroom and doing it through video format just because I think I'm more animated that way. Would I be able to put those vlogs, like, up on here?
100%. As you can see, I don't feel that the connection will be quick enough to play them.
Probably not.
But you can see all these. This is all video content that we actually created as a team. It was in response to another initiative that Teach Ontario has going, and it's called an ebook, and they're getting all the collaboration of all the members on the site, and they're asking us what our ideal form of professional development would be. And there's a couple of other questions.
That's awesome.
And I got the team members, some of them that wanted to.
Yeah.
I got them to respond, and I taped the responses and threw in a little bit of music and graphics, and up
But
it
do you know
went.
what's so cool about this? We as educators, we focus so much on how our students learn, but we don't take time to ask each other how we learn. We as teachers, we learn in different ways. We need something spiffy like this. We learn in video format. So to see that there's something that's so hands-on, and I'm looking at it, for all you teachers out there who are like, oh, I'm not tech savvy, oh, I'm not good at this stuff, like, it's easy. Like, it's click, press, right?
It really is. It really
it's right
is.
here. What has been the response from the educators on here?
Incredible, like really positive. I've actually made some really genuine connections with educators from all corners of the province. Sometimes we're having a conversation back and forth to the point where I have to kind of bookmark it for myself and do it later on. Your phone's buzzing. You know how it is. Everything's mobilized nowadays. But I would say that, again, the potential here that TVO has set up through this platform, through the Teach Ontario platform, is for someone who is working in Ottawa to connect to someone who's working in Toronto, to connect to someone who's working in Dryden. Like,
so it's almost like an international...
Well, at least provincially, right?
Provincially,
To focus on... I mean, it's a huge province, Ontario. But at the same time, our most immediate peers are within our province.
For sure.
So with this opportunity to learn from each other and with each other, like we're blessed with this. It's a wonderful platform.
Well,
so.
TVO's tagline is always learning, and now we're really like always learning here, because this is incredible. And for some of the educators I work with, I know that sometimes we get really frustrated because we feel that the information we're coming across is outdated, or it's not a voice of us. It's not something that we could connect to, but it's right here. What's the future for Teach Ontario? What's like next steps that they're going to be doing?
Well, I know, like I said, one of the big initiatives right now is the fact that it's actually been launched. Previously, and I can speak a little bit to my involvement with Homework Help, which is another excellent resource that TVO has set up. I don't know if you're familiar with Homework Help.
I've heard of it, but not have used it.
So I also work for Homework Help, and Homework Help is an online math tutoring service for students in grades 7 to 10.
Emile from Teach Ontario. For all you educators out there, lots to learn from. Information's below. Be sure to check it out, and I'll